Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Waitress Academy wine course. This is lesson 4, and this is the most beautiful and the most important lesson from the wine course because we are talking specifically about type of grapes, wines, characteristics, and we will discuss the 49 most important grapes in the world. Green salad with French dressing.
Thank you very much.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about wine. First, I want you to know that there are 3 types of wine inside a bottle. Alright? One is a wine just produced from one grape. Could be Merlot, could be Chardonnay, could be anything. It's just one grape inside the bottle. The second type is varietal wines. That means that you have one dominant grape, that's 75%, 85% of the wine inside, and everything else is just a bunch of mixed different grapes. The best example is Chianti in Tuscany, one of the most famous wines in the world. It's produced with Sangiovese, but Sangiovese, it could be 100%, but could be usually 75 or 85%, and everything else is different grapes inside. And then, of course, you have blended wines. That's a wine that is produced from 3, 4, 5 different grapes. There is no dominant grape. Everything is like 25, 30%, 40%, and so on. So mixed together, and they're producing the most famous blend in the world is the Bordeaux Blend that contains Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Merlot, Petit Verdot. And that's pretty much when you bring the bottle to the table, you should be able to say what is the grapes inside and discuss it. And now my favorite part of the lesson, we're gonna go with the real grapes and we're gonna talk about them. Now, you have 49 grapes in this lesson. Of course, I have put the most important grapes on the top, for the white and the red. And when I ask questions about in the test inside the lesson, that's going to be mostly the most important grapes in the world. And the most popular grape in the world is a Cabernet Sauvignon. Here on this card you see this is the characteristics of the grape. Alright, Cabernet Sauvignon has full body usually. You have to understand that there are differences between one Cabernet Sauvignon and the second Cabernet Sauvignon because of the winemaking process, because of the aging and stuff like that. But those are the general characteristics of every one of the grapes that we will be discussing. So Cabernet Sauvignon usually produces wine with full body, a lot of tannin, not so much acidity, very good alcohol percentage, and I would say that if a Cabernet Sauvignon has not reached 14% alcohol, I will probably never sell this wine to a guest. Alright, so if you're selling Cabernet Sauvignon, a bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon to your guest, make sure it's a 40% alcohol. If it's not, it's probably not a good wine. And of course, Cabernet Sauvignon has no sweet inside. Now, on the right side, you see some information about the wine, and it's the most popular wine in the world. It's a cross between Cabernet Franc and Sauvignon Blanc. It's French grape, and it's the most important grape in Bordeaux. And of course, you have what is the best food to pair this wine. And because it's a full body, because there's a lot of tannin inside, you can pair it perfectly with fat steaks, rich creamy sauces, mushroom sauces, and a lot of flavored dishes. Then you have some more characteristics, like what kind of flavors you have to look when you're testing the wine. The flavors of blackcurrant, black cherry, cheddar, spices. And then you have the glass that we are using to serve this wine, if somebody orders Cabernet Sauvignon, you should offer them a large Bordeaux glass, because this is a Bordeaux wine. And to test all those flavors, like we explained in the lessons above, the best way to test those flavors will be in a large Bordeaux glass. And then, of course, the large Bordeaux glass helps tame the tannin inside the wine, so it's not overwhelming. And that's why we suggest that we serve this wine in a large Bordeaux glass. Of course, if it's just a normal Cabernet Sauvignon, nothing special, nothing expensive, you can just serve it in a normal red wine glass. Now, decanting. This is the, we suggest that the wine is decanted for at least for 60 minutes, but of course in the restaurant you have no time for that. It's just general information for you. There are many times guests come into the restaurant a couple of hours earlier and they ask me for suggestion. I suggest the wine and they ask me if it need to be decanted, and I say yes. So they ask me to decant the wine for them like 2 hours before they come to the restaurant. So the wine is already taken the air and they can really enjoy a complete full bouquet of the taste of the wine. So this is the recommendations, of course, but it's not possible always to do it in the restaurant. The regions that this wine is produced, this grape is grown, France, Chile, Spain. Cabernet Sauvignon is everywhere in the world, but those are the most important regions. Now, we go to the next one. The next one is Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir is the top wine in Burgundy, France, and you have here also the characteristics. Now, fresh and young Pinot Noir has not much body, it's very light body, not much tannin, it's high on acidity, okay, and alcohol percentage can vary, no sweetness. So now those are the general characteristics. If you take the Pinot Noir and you age that in barrique, wood barrels, that can bring a lot of body, can add tannin, and can add alcohol, and you can turn into a completely different wine. If you drink, for example, Volnay, that's going to be one Pinot Noir. If you drink just fresh, young Pinot Noir, it's going to be a completely different taste. So you have to pay attention to that. Pinot Noir is a very hard wine to grow. It's grown in Burgundy in France mostly, and some years are very good, some years are very bad, because the weather in France changes a lot and influences the taste of the wine, of the grapes. So very fruity wine, all right, the Pinot Noir, and you can pair well, with food, with different food, because like I said, you have Pinot Noir that's high acidity and low tannin and low body, and you have Pinot Noir with very full body, much more tannin and acidity. So usually, perfect with white meat, pork, mushrooms, duck, but you can also, if it's aged, you can also pair it well with steaks. The flavors of the Pinot Noir: cherry, raspberry, vanilla, mushrooms, and of course we suggest that you serve Pinot Noir always in a Burgundy glass. You have lesson 2 that tells you what kind of glass is the Burgundy glass, and of course what is the Bordeaux glass, and explain why. So I'm not going to stop on this thing. Pinot Noir also could be decanted. Now, if it's a young Pinot Noir, maybe not, doesn't need much of decanting, but you can decant the wine, and usually takes just a few minutes to take the air that it needs to feel the full bouquet of the wine. The wine regions, of course, it's France, Burgundy, and then everything else also. But the top wines, the top Pinot Noir wines are coming from France. So the next one is Merlot. And the Merlot, the beautiful about Merlot is that you can drink it by itself. It produces some of the most important and most expensive wine in the world, like Maceto, like Petrus. But you can drink it also in a blend, and produces one of the best blends in the world, the Bordeaux Blend. So mm, the great thing about Merlot is this body that gives, and the soft tannin that it gives, and the flavors. The black cherry, the plum, the chocolate. Those are great flavors. And when you mix it with Cabernet Sauvignon, I would say they produce one of the most beautiful wines in the world. Um, that's why it's so often blended with Cabernet. Now, Merlot, you can drink Merlot with roasted meat, with short ribs, something fatty, something you can drink it with steaks. You can drink with everything, especially when it's aged in wood barrels. Then becomes something really so flavored, so full body that you can drink it with the most fatty steaks in the world. Of course, it's a Bordeaux wine. Merlot is a Bordeaux wine. We suggest Bordeaux glass again. Decanting, yes, you can decant the Merlot, not as important as decanting Cabernet Sauvignon, and not so long, but you can decant it so you can take some fresh air. And the most important Bordeaux Merlots are from France, but also you have some amazing wine in Italy and United States and pretty much everywhere in the world. The next grape that we're going to discuss is the Cabernet Franc, and this is one of the grapes in the Bordeaux blend. But I have drank, Cabernet Franc that just 100% Cabernet Franc that's amazing wine. It's just amazing flavors. Those strawberry, raspberry flavors, bell pepper. This you can feel those flavors when you're drinking a really good Cabernet Franc, and I'm telling you, this is amazing. So I like it when it's aged because I need a little bit more body, a little bit more tannin. Usually Cabernet Franc doesn't have so much body and tannin, but when you age it in wood for like 1 year or even 6 months, it adds a little bit of body, adds a little bit of tannin, and that mixes very well with those flavors, and it's producing some amazing wines. Um, Now, so it has a high acidity, so it makes it perfect, for tomato-based dishes, vinegar-based sauces. As we discussed in the lesson about pairing food and wine, you will learn that um, food high on acidity matches very well with wine that is high on acidity, and that's why you can match the Cabernet Franc very well with those kind of dishes. The next one is the Bordeaux Blend, and I think everybody should know the four grapes in the Bordeaux Blend. I'm going to ask those questions on the final exam. Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Petit Verdot. Those are the four blends. Of course, some wineries are missing with a different thing, or just removing one of those wines and stuff like that. But this is the classic Bordeaux Blend. Now, it produces wines with really full body, heavy tannin, not much acidity, but alcohol again. It's have to be at least 40%. I mean, if it's under 40% wine with the Bordeaux blend, I will not suggest that wine to a guest. And no sweetness whatsoever. And because you have the Merlot, the Cabernet Franc, and the Cabernet Sauvignon inside, you have all those amazing flavors mixed together, the black currant, the black cherry, the chocolate, the herbs, and phew, those wines are really great. We always serve the Bordeaux blend wines in a Bordeaux glass because it needs to tame the tannin, and take some oxygen. Decanting is a must, but of course we always suggest to the guests they decide if they want to or not. Um, a lot of guests don't have the patience to see their wine decanted and so on, so they just drink it from the bottle, but we can always suggest to the guests to decant the wine. Now, you have to remember that the Bordeaux blend is a French brand. Okay, it's come from Bordeaux, of course, because the name says. But in Italy, in Bulgaria, they are producing some of the most important and most beautiful Bordeaux blend wines. All right, so um, that's one of the questions I might ask you on the final exam. Make sure that you remember that. Um, One of the most beautiful, important wines with the Bordeaux blend in the world produced in Bulgaria, in Italy. And of course, United States, Australia, they also using the Bordeaux blend. Now, I keep going here with the French wines. All right. And Gamay, Malbec, Grenache, those are all important wines, Shiraz. But I will skip those right now because we will go to the next wine, that grape that is I think it's the most important in the world after the wines that we discussed already, and this is Sangiovese. Sangiovese is Italian grape. All right, it's the most popular grape in Italy, and Chianti, of course, in Tuscany. So to produce Chianti in Tuscany, we will see the Sangiovese, for example, in the Brunello de Montalcino, one of the most popular wines in the world, and of course Chianti. And Sangiovese is, full body wine. There's a lot of tannin inside. The difference with the Bordeaux wine grapes is that this has high acidity. All right, and the alcohol percentage, I will also again say it should be 14%. I don't like it nothing less than that. No sweetness. All right. Eh, of course, it matches perfectly with pasta, spice food, but you can have also the Sangiovese wine with meat and steaks, especially when it's aged. When you have the Chianti and it's aged, you can have it with some really heavy meat because it's a really full body wine, and you can enjoy it with meat. Now, the flavors of the Sangiovese, cherries, roasted tomatoes, sweet balsamic with espresso. We drawing this in a red wine glass, normal wine glass. Yes, decanting is recommended. Not much time. You can just decant it and drink it in the restaurant in a few minutes. And of course, that's Italian wine and mostly produced in Italy, Tuscany. Now, I will go with the next Italian wine that I think is one of the most important wines in the world because it produces some amazing, amazing wines. Nebbiolo, you will probably never hear Nebbiolo, the grape, but if you are working in Italian restaurant or you go to Italian restaurant, you will definitely serve Nebbiolo because you will serve Barolo or Barbaresco wines. Now, Barolo and Barbaresco are two small regions, two small towns in a Piedmont region in Italy. All right, and they are the only one that have the right to produce wines with the name of Barolo and Barbaresco, and those wines have to be 100% Nebbiolo. And because Nebiolo has such a high percentage tannin, it's like a so heavy tannin, you cannot drink it right away. You have to age those wines for 4 years. So after you harvest the wine, the grape, and you produce the wine, it stays for 4 years until you are allowed to drink it. And then you have the right to name this wine Barolo or Barbaresco, of course, if you are in those two regions in Italy. But Barolo and Barbaresco, those are really two amazing, amazing wines. They are very expensive, especially if you drink like Gaia Barbaresco. It's very expensive wine. It's the same class like all the Super Toscano wines, and you can find some amazing Barbaresco and Barolos. The thing is that like I said, only those two regions have the right to produce a wine with the name of Barolo and Barbaresco. The flavors of the Nebiolo, you have the cherries, rose, leather, um, and you can feel the tannin, like a really, really strong tannin. But when it's aged for 4 years, the tannin, tames up, and then it's blended so well with everything else in the wine. So, you have some amazing wines. But still, if somebody orders Barolo or Barbaresco, you should tell them that those are really high on tannin wines, and if they don't like tannin, maybe you should choose something else. Uh, we suggest Bordeaux glass for this wine because of the tannin, you know, but you can also drink it in normal glass. Yes, decanting for sure. It's very good to decant this wine for as long as possible because that's what's help, and get some fresh air and bring the tannin level down. The region is only Italy. I don't know anybody else producing Nebbiolo. Barbera is a very popular wine in Italy, also Piedmont region. Mostly Italians have the saying that they are drinking Barbera while they are waiting for the Barolo and for the Barbaresco to age, because they have to age for 4 years. Now, Montepulciano, another Italian wine that's very popular in Italy. Valpolicella Blend. I will stop by here a little bit because the Valpolicella Blend is a very interesting uh, thing by itself. All right. So Valpolicella Blend is produced. This is in North Italy, and they're using Corvina, Corvinone, Molinara, and Rondinella. All right. So this blend, the interesting about this blend is that they are producing some amazing light fruity wines, Valpolicella Classico, and then they're producing some of the most heavy, full of body and tannin and alcohol wines when they're making the Amarone del Valpolicella. The difference is the winemaking process. For the Valpolicella Classico, they're using just fresh grapes, just normal wine production. But when they're producing the Amarone del Valpolicella, they're taking the grapes, they dry them sometimes for 6 months, so there is not so much water now in the grapes, but there is a lot of high levels of sugar, and alcohol comes from sugar. So now when you're trying to do the wine with the partially dry grapes, you can produce a lot of alcohol, but there will be still sugar left in those grapes because and now you have a wine that is really on high percentage of alcohol, really thick, full body and heavy tannin, and at the same time you still have sugar inside. Amarone del Valpolicella is one of the most amazing wines in the world. You should know about it. And like I said, those are two completely different types of wine produced with the Valpolicella blend. Now, I think this is all about the red grapes that we will discuss in the video. There are a lot of other wines. You should read about them and know about them, like Tempranillo, the most popular grape in Spain. Make sure that you know something about the Tempranillo, and I added here some Austrian wine, some Portuguese wine, but you can read the cards and learn about it. Once you learn how to describe those grapes to your guest with authority, with ease, that's what's going to give you the confidence to talk freely with your guest, to suggest wine, to sell wines. That's what's going to give you
the special relationship with your guest. Because people, once they sit in the restaurant, they want to see a waiter or waitress with confidence. Someone who knows what he's talking about, someone who knows what he's doing.
Green salad with French dressing.
Thank you very much.